Okay, thanks very much, members. Declare this meeting open to the public. Can I welcome all members back after summer recess? This is our 49th meeting of the Public Accounts Committee in this mandate, which is very difficult to believe, actually. Can I advise members that the committee meeting will be recorded and broadcast through Parliament buildings and online. However, there could be a slight delay in moving between any private and public sessions, so please be patient. Can I also advise that anyone who will be joining us in the public gallery, they're welcome to use their mobile devices as long as they're in airplane mode and all devices are muted, and they can connect to the Assembly Wi-Fi. The password can be found in the gallery rules, and it is not permitted to take photographs or record any part of today's meeting. So we'll proceed as follows. Clarke, have we any apologies?
I haven't received any.
Cheryl Brownlee, yes, okay. That's it. We have Padraig Delargy MLA joining us online, and the Ulster News member hasn't been replaced as of yet. Okay, members, I refer you to the draft minutes in the pack for a copy of the minutes for the meeting held on the 3rd of July, page 7 to 13 of the meeting pack. If members are content and have sight of them, I'll sign them. Members agreed? Yep. Thank you. Okay. That's grand. Thanks, Shelley. Okay, members, can I remind you that can I remind members to ensure that they have considered the full agenda for the meeting and that any relevant declarations are made early in the meeting to ensure that they are recorded in an open session. Can I ask members at this point if there's any declaration of interest they'd like to make? Nope. Diane?
Yeah, just to declare, I also sit on the Audit Committee and it's considering the NIAO budget submission both sides.
Yes, and thank you. And just in relation to two particular areas, we will be covering just as a constituency MLA that's directly affected by the A5. I declare that interest as someone who campaigns for the project, and also Dalridian's gold mine in the Sperrins is also referenced, which is also within the West Tyrone constituency, and I've been discussing with various stakeholders over a long period of time.
Just the same on those two issues, Chair. Could I just declare an interest there?
Thank you, Tom. Just right. Ditto under that.
Yeah, so the same. And the A5 is in my constituency as well, so just to flag the interest in campaigning on that issue.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Padraig?
Same as that in the A5, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Same interest here. Okay. Okay, Clarke? Mm-hmm. Okay, members, can I take this opportunity to congratulate Diane Forsyth on her appointment as our new Deputy Chair of the Public Accounts Committee. Is this a shock to you, Carol?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I wasn't word on the street, Chair.
We keep things very tight in here.
Absolutely. I told you.
I know you did. So you're very much congratulated from us all. Thanks for embarrassing me there, David. And we just want to take the opportunity as well to wish Cheryl very well. She'll be leaving the committee and will be replaced next week, as far as I'm aware. So we wish Cheryl well on behalf of the committee and thank her for all the help and assistance and the times that she filled in over the last year as well in chairing the meeting. I also want to welcome back Karen. Karen, you're very welcome. It's good to see you with us. We've missed you very much. And also to wish Marion well and thank her as well for the assistance that she gave to the committee over a number of meetings. Yes, and I think it may be appropriate also, members, if we write a wee thank you card to Cheryl, just wishing her well. We have a very good team, and it's always unfortunate when we lose someone. This has been a fairly solid committee in terms of membership, to be honest, compared to others. Okay, members, can I refer you to pages 14 and 15 of the meeting pack for a copy of the response from the Chairperson's Liaison Group in respect of guidance and training for members and committees on the use of effectiveness of AI. Are members content to note the correspondence?
Enter.
Thank you. Members, under agenda item 5, matters arising, can I refer to pages 3 and 4 of the table pack where there is correspondence from the Audit Committee regarding the review of the arrangements in relation to the C&AG salary. If members are content, we'll note the correspondence.
Right.
Okay. And item 6, we have correspondence, pages 42 to 45 of the meeting pack, where there is correspondence from a member of the public regarding mineral prospecting licences. At page 6 of the table pack is a clerk's brief outlining the issues raised and a proposed course of action. If members are content that this matter and agree that this matter does not fall within the remit of the PAC and should be referred on to the Economy Committee for further consideration. Thank you. Members, pages 42 and 44 of the meeting pack, there is correspondence from a member of the public regarding Belfast Exposed. Pages 45 of the meeting pack is the clerk's brief outlining the issues raised and a proposed course of action. Are you looking in on this, Padraig?
Previous matter, just to declare an interest as member of Economy Committee. Sorry, I should have said that earlier, but it came up there. Sorry.
That's okay. David Honeyford is the same. Okay. Thank you. Members, you can tend to note the matter, that this matter also does not fall within the remit of PAC and the response be issued to the member of the public advising them accordingly of our position. Agreed. Thank you. Pages 59 of the meeting pack, there is correspondence from the Environmental Gathering regarding Northern Ireland Audit Office reports into matters relating to waste. At page 58 of the meeting pack is a clerk's brief, and at page 60 there is a draft response for consideration. Members, are you content that the response be issued in line with previous responses to a similar request? Okay. Thank you. Okay, members, agenda item 7 is a memorandum of reply in relation to the memorandum of reply, major capital works, major capital project follow-up. Can I refer members to the updates provided at pages 63 to 73 of the meeting pack, and a further update received on Monday at page 15 of your table papers, pages 47 to 54 of the meeting pack. There continues to be no indication of when the investment strategy ISNI is to receive executive approval, and therefore the Department of Finance has not been able to provide the committee with a memorandum of reply. At this point, we'll welcome in the CNAG, Dorinnia, Carville, and colleagues who will be joining her as well. Members, I'm extremely frustrated by this. This was published on the 27th of March. We had 12 recommendations. I took an opportunity to glance through the recommendations that exist, and I have to say I'm quite frustrated that ISNI has been used as the excuse for not submitting the MOR to this committee. I think it's appropriate and I'll seek members' views on this, but I think it's appropriate that we write to the department and state our frustration, but that doesn't seem to have worked to date. They had normally a window of 8 weeks, I think, to reply. That window has not been met. That is not acceptable. I think we were clear with the officials when they were before us previously that we wanted to see a proactive approach to resolve the concerns raised by this committee. Out of the 12 recommendations, the one that has not been forthcoming is in relation to ISNI, but that is no reason as to why they could not respond in relation to the rest of the recommendations that were outlined within the report. And equally, they've also been sitting on the effectiveness, the board effectiveness review of the next board. It's my understanding, or at least I believe, that that has been with them for some time. And I, with members' approval, would like to get sight of it. So I think within the correspondence it would be appropriate to also request that. So a couple of actions, members, that I'm suggesting, and one is that we write and express our frustration. 2, that we invite the officials back to this committee to answer for the unacceptable delays to this scrutiny body. And thirdly, to ask beforehand for a copy of the review of the next board. Members, any comments? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was just checking the dates there in my head. So our report was 3rd of April of this year. So it is quite a period of time. So definitely support all of that, given that we're talking about £3 billion of overspend here, like even a commentary around the edges and some of the recommendations. And you would have liked to have thought even on some of the individual projects, they might have been able to have some sort of feedback as to we've been able to pull this back here or implement this in a particular one. And just also, just to flag, I don't know if anybody else saw it, in the UK there was a PAC report out on major changes in major projects, in particular some infrastructure recommendations just last week, so it's maybe a good one for us to take a wee look at as well, coming across that, but support all of your proposals there, Chair.
Could you circulate that over the next few days? It would be appreciated very much. Could you remind me, was it this particular inquiry that we had those officials here twice because we weren't satisfied with the first session? Was it that inquiry or was it a previous one?
Was this one, was it? Yeah,
so
we had 5 people.
Yeah, so we had the most senior officials here on the first occasion. I don't think it was public procurement. I think it was this one.
You'd hope.
Yeah. So we had two fairly extensive sessions where members were very clear about where concerns lay and what we wanted to see from the department. We received quite a number of assurances, none of which have been forthcoming, and I don't think that's acceptable. So I would put to the floor, if members are agreed, that we write to the department, state our frustration in relation to lay out the time frame, explain it's unacceptable, they haven't replied, and I think the best action from us would be to invite them back before us for the third time, because it doesn't seem to be getting through. Okay. Members agreed? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Members, so are you clear on that action, Clarke? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, and also members, I think as a further suggestion, we write to the Executive Office Committee in relation to the ISNI issues and request information from them on what they've received as well, I suppose, from the Executive Office. Isn't that right, Kirsten? Yeah.
In relation to ISNI.
Yeah, in relation to ISNI, yeah. Okay. Okay, members, so if you're agreed, we'll go ahead with those actions. Okay. Okay, members, under agenda item 8 with major capital projects, the A5 case study. Members will know we discussed this prior to the summer recess in the aftermath of the judgment by Justice McMillen, which ultimately has led to the quashing of all orders and the further delay of the A5 project, which, as the judge said, will undoubtedly cost more lives, but will also have a significant and detrimental impact on public funds, which is directly within the remit of concern for this committee. So, members, with that said, as a summary, I refer you to the relevant papers. The Northern Ireland Audit Office proposed terms of reference at page 75 of the pack, and I thank the Audit Office for doing that at quite short notice as a result of the concerns raised by this committee. You'll also find a raised paper, a comparative analysis of the statutory remit and powers of public accounts committees, which is at pages 76 to 107 of the pack, and we appreciate the efforts by Raise in providing us with that comprehensive analysis. And also correspondence from the Committee for Infrastructure at pages 18 to 69 of the table pack, which is there as well, which I'll seek members' views on shortly. And further, there's legal advice on the powers and remit of the PAC, which can be found at pages 70 to 78 of the pack. And members, we sought that information for a very simple reason, that this committee, in its important role, is able to effectively hold departments to account in the moment where very serious issues may arise. So these requests are to examine how far-reaching our powers are to ensure good governance and accountability of the relevant departments. So I welcome to the meeting Dorinnia, Carville, Controller and Auditor General for the Northern Ireland Audit Office. Dorinnia, you're very welcome back. I hope you've had a very good summer, and your team as well. We've also Kyle Bingham in the public gallery. It is good to have you. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to Frances Byrne, who's recently joined the Northern Ireland Audit Office as Head of Corporate Affairs. Very welcome to the PAC, which I'm sure she'll find very, very enjoyable. Members, you'll recall that prior to the recess we agreed to seek advice from the CNAG, as I've outlined earlier, in respect of the A5, plus the legal advice on behalf of members on the remit of the powers of the PAC. So with that said, I'll invite the CNAG to brief committee on the proposed terms of reference as kindly provided by her office.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Apologies I wasn't in attendance on that last day when you discussed this. So we looked at what was within our remit based on listening into the recording of your conversations that day, and we have pulled together the proposed scope of work. Very much the starting point that we're proposing is to build on the case study that was presented in our major capital projects report, which you then considered further in your inquiry into major capital projects follow-up. That's what is in front of you today. You will note in that, and you will see the detailed proposals there at bullet points on that proposed scope of work. You will note that the legal aspects of the case that are ongoing would be outside of my remit to comment or provide you with any evidence on. So I do have to state that up front. Given the urgency with which you discussed this matter and the urgency that you wanted something pulled together, we went ahead and have requested this information from the department, even though this we couldn't formally table this with you. We asked for return of this information by the end of August in anticipation for you coming back after recess. We haven't yet received it, but we have been advised by the department that it has been compiled for us, and we expect to receive it imminently, really. So I guess if this is sufficient for your needs, we can then update you on what is proposed in the terms of reference once we receive that information from the department.
Thank you, Dorinnia. That's very helpful. I'm sure members will have a number of questions in relation to this particular matter. I think first and foremost it's important that this committee expresses our sincerest concern on behalf of the families who have lost loved ones, suffered the worst possible consequences of losing loved ones on that road. There's many husbands or wives, children, friends, neighbours, grandparents, brothers and sisters that never returned home from travelling on the most simplest of journeys on this road. And there's no year that passes that unfortunately lives are not claimed. I said earlier, it has a direct impact on my constituency. It runs through the very heart of it. And on a daily basis, we're hearing about the deep frustrations that exist in relation to this project for a variety of reasons. At the very centre of it, obviously, health and safety and the loss of human life and the potential loss for further lives. Also, the delays that it's causing in terms of people operating businesses and travelling about their daily lives. And further, also the impact of the uncertainty on landowners and others as well. So there's a wide rippling consequence to the current situation. At the centre of it, directly relevant to this committee, is the shocking cost increases that continue to spiral beyond all recognition. The project originally was estimated to cost £800 million when it was first agreed in 2007. Those costs escalated up to 1.2, then 1.4, then 1.6 billion, and the most recent estimate from the Department for Infrastructure submissions since the delay is now £2.1 billion. That is a shocking, very worrying figure, and it will alarm quite a number of people. So we have a responsibility as a committee responsible for the scrutiny of public funds to chase the pounds and any particular wastage. There has to be questions, members, about how we ended up in this place. How, on multiple occasions, has this project continued to end up in this situation? And how have we ended up so many years later, with a project that is now almost 3 times its original price, and still no further forward. So it gives me great concern, and I think it should give this committee great concern. Just by way of the record, the Irish government has €600 million pledged to this project, and with every delay that figure is becoming more and more difficult. They have agreed with me and other members, from what I've seen in correspondence privately as MLAs, that money remains on the table, and that is a positive reassurance that I've received from the Taoiseach's office recently. But we really need to look at this and see what is going wrong. We recently held our inquiry into major capital projects. We haven't received our MOR, and in the middle of not receiving our MOR, one of the biggest flagship projects that the Executive has ever presided over is now stuck in court. We can't discuss the legal issues around this, but we can discuss the process as to how it ended up where it ended up. And I have considerable concerns in relation to it. Because the MOR has not returned, this committee still has primacy over this particular report, and therefore it is within our powers, which we'll examine later, to bring this to the fore. And I think, given that we've not long went through the inquiry, made 12 very clear recommendations and have not received an MOR, that it is entirely appropriate for this committee to action this and to send a very clear signal to government that this is unacceptable. This is public money. Diana?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks to CNAG for pulling this together so quickly. And yeah, I agree with what Daniel says there. You know, as we think of the A5, we think very much of the families who've suffered so much loss on this road and how they feel throughout this process. But in terms of this particular piece of work, I think that it's really important because, as you said before, your major capital projects report was a follow-up on a previous one, and then our report was in April of this year, and where the recommendations haven't had full feedback and this issue sits so live, it's really, really important that we're able to bring something actionable forward to show that this committee is looking closely at this. And I think if memory serves me correctly, I think in this current financial year there's, after June monitoring round, about £90 million still earmarked ring-fenced in this financial year for the A5 project, and obviously there's the Irish Government contribution, and it's really important that we understand that as this pushes on, that capital funding is remaining available, taking account of inflation for this particular project, but also that if this has come to a particular point in the management of capital projects within the Northern Ireland public sector, are they acting quickly enough to reallocate that £90 million to make sure that we're utilising it within the budget? So I think that whilst this is quite specific on the A5, there are those wider implications to link back into the overall management of the capital projects. But I think that this proposed scope of work is very, very good, and I just wonder, have you any details in terms of the timescale, how long you think that it would take to be able to pull this together?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you, Diane. So we originally asked for the information to be returned by the 25th of August. We have been chasing it since then. We were advised just at the beginning of the week that the information has been compiled by the department by the end of last week and was being cleared for issue. So as soon as I get it, we continue to chase it. As soon as I get it, then we will put it into a manner and present it to the committee then.
Anthony?
David?
Just come in. I suppose our thoughts are with the family. I suppose are the most affected by this delay, and the constant kind of optimism, and then getting that crushed. Is them reliving that is not. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But sort of the other side of this is, you know, the Executive or the Department of Economy have a regional balance as a pillar of of that, and you can't regional balance if you don't put in the infrastructure to actually deliver the regional balance, nor can you reform a health service if you don't put the infrastructure to be able to move around quickly. So I suppose that this is looking back, which is great of the cost. You know, you're talking about 3 billion, or Danny, you're talking about 3 billion. You know, how much then are we actually preventing ourselves from doing, because that cost is going up? Inflation came out the other day, 4.5%. So the 600 million that the Irish government is shrinking as that as we move forward, and the costs are increasing. So you know, it's the projected costs are going, but then there's the loss that we've also got for not just in lives and thing, which is fundamental to build, but the loss of growth, if you like, in economic growth in the corner is I know it's not part of this, but it is part of the wider area of making life better for people in this place delivered. So I suppose I agree with all of this. I agree to do it. I just wish we could get stuff done, to be honest, and get on and get delivering. But timescales wise, you're talking short period of time to get this done, very short.
Well, absolutely, because essentially this is an update on the cost and time aspects. As can reasonably be assessed by the department at this point. I think without guessing, but time might be difficult given that there is the legal case ongoing. But I haven't seen anything back from the department yet. So as soon as we get it, we'll pass it on to yourselves. And as I say, we had requested it to be back by the end of August because the committee had talked about urgency at your last meeting, so it should be back with us very soon, and then we'll pass it straight on.
Thank you.
Yeah, so obviously A5 runs through my constituency as well. A key fundamental piece of infrastructure. I've lost friends and club members and to the road. It's unbelievable. So there's clearly a huge priority to get this project over the line, and whatever we're doing, and I've said this from the start, whatever we're doing, I'm keen to ensure it's continuing to make progress and helpful in whatever sense it can be to ensure that progress. Because in some ways, and cost is hugely important, but the fundamental necessity of the road for all of the other reasons, and David touched on a good few of them around our ability to transform health, our ability to provide regional balance, economic and social needs up along that entire corridor are huge. So I think we need to bear that in mind every step of the way. I suppose just one thing I will flag, and I think we should be extremely conscious of this, is that during the Irish language strategy court hearing, it was clear that even commentary within the committee was featured in the court case. So I think we need to be really careful in terms of what we do, bearing in mind there's a court decision and also a live appeal. I think anything we do here has to ensure that the project we're doing all we can to move it forward.
I think they're all important points as well, and the CNAG has been quite clear, and you'll see within your packs from the terms of reference that there'll be no discussion or references to the legal aspects of this process, court judgment or otherwise, or trying to interpret it. We should be focused on the various other areas, of which there's 5 outlined kindly by the CNAG within your pack under the terms of reference, which I think is entirely reasonable and within the scope of this committee to establish. And I think we can do that in a way that does not jeopardise the process, but does ensure good governance and accountability of the department, to ensure that they understand that we are watching this very carefully and are not content to date with the way things have went, for all of the reasons that members have outlined and the very real human impact this project has on each and all of our constituents. Tom and then Cahill.
Thank you, Chair. And again, just to reiterate from the very outset to the families that have lost their loved ones on the A5, it's very, very raw for them, even at this. Even to talk about the A5 is very raw for them because of the loss that they have sustained, and therefore we want to assure them that while we're discussing this issue, that we'll have them very much in our thoughts, even at this time. And Yeah, the regional balance was talked about, and that is very, very important. And when you come to the west, you find out that the regional balance is missing. It's not there. There's a missing link within the west, within the whole west of Northern Ireland, if you like. That is missing out, and that is important. But, you know, Daniel asked, or sorry, the chair asked, how did we get here? 18 years. We're waiting 18 years on this. And 18 years have come and have passed, and there's still so much uncertainty. There has been quite a number of lives lost over that 18 years. Farmers are in so much uncertainty, that's losing land, that they can't get on with developing their business, if you like, and that there's so much at stake here. And yet we're still held back and not getting moving forward with the project. And I see the 5 issues that you're looking at, and I'm really interested in this because I've asked some of these questions to the department over the last few years, and they've been unable to tell me, for example, how much money has been spent. I was looking at how much money was spent from November to May. I didn't know. Couldn't tell me how much was spent. And all of these things raises concern because it appears that work's been done, money's been spent, but there's no accountability of that whenever they can't tell us how much has been spent. So it's a good project here for the committee to be taken forward and scrutinising and keeping the pressure on so that we do get to the real crux of the matter. How much has been spent? What is the difficulties that's holding this whole thing, and why have we got to the position that we're in after 18 years? You'd have thought that after so long, that whenever it come to start the works back in November 2024, that every I would have been dotted and every T would have been crossed and everything would have been ready to go on. And unfortunately that didn't happen. Now there has to be questions asked around all that process. What happened there? Why did that not go ahead as it should have? And I welcome the fact that the committee's taken on this, and let's hope that we do get something fairly soon and keep the just the scrutiny on them so that they know that we are looking at it and we want to see delivery of this project.
Thank you, Tom. Cahill?
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and you're welcome back, Dorinnia. And I mean, I share all the comment and for anybody who's lost loved one on the roads, I mean, and experienced that, I mean, I certainly share with the families, certainly in this instance. And I mean, I just don't want to detract from anything in relation to the F5. The issue probably is, I mean, people talk about 18 years, but there's three legal challenges over that period of time. For us as a committee, and I'll take it back to us as a committee and what we're trying to do and what the scope of all of this is there's a live case, so we have a scope of work and you've clearly outlined that. The question for us as a committee is, will this impact in any way that? And you've indicated already in terms from a legal framework, it isn't. My question probably is, if we continue this report on report, where then do we go from that? I mean, in terms of if this report is done over a short period of time and sitting there and information is there, I'm not saying, I can't question whether or not what information should be provided in the legal case because I don't know anything about it. But certainly, as a committee, we need to be sure what we're doing is the right thing and doesn't interfere with that process. And I don't have any issue in those issues there you've outlined. It's the timing of it, to be honest with you, and what will happen. And I mean, I don't know, Chair, even ourselves as a committee, have we sought legal advice ourselves in terms of where we're at? In all of my time, I don't think this has happened in terms of being a live case at the same time. So I'm only asked that. Clearly you may not have the answers to that, but we certainly, I wouldn't object to doing the scope of work. My only question is where when we do the scope of work, where it sits and where we go from there. And then does it become a piece of evidence or material consideration? I don't know, Chair, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not arguing any of that point. Just for us as a committee, I'm only speaking from a committee point of view, so I have no objections to doing the scope of work. These things need to be considered, and if we are given assurances that 100%,
yep.
I don't have any issues, to be honest with you.
Yeah, again, it's and David's looking in briefly, and then I'm going to let the clerk just provide a bit of clarification in terms of the legal element of it and our restrictions. The CNAG has very kindly laid out 5 areas where we can and have the powers to investigate, or in terms of looking into this matter. This is an example, probably the greatest example that we have of how badly these projects are being mishandled. And a huge amount, a massive amount in the Northern Ireland context, when you look at the budget restrictions of this place and how departments operate, this is massive. It has profound consequences in very many aspects of our services and how this place is able to function. And unless there is a very clear mechanism of accountability over departments to let them know that this is not acceptable, then we're wasting our time. And whilst we'll need to tread carefully, I think there has been an absence, particularly with this project, which ultimately led to the inquiry we've just had, of accountability when it comes to these major capital projects. They have all spiraled beyond recognition in terms of costs. There's a multitude of reasons for them, but there is a common theme at the centre of it. And when you look at that and look at how we have still not received our MOR, when it should have been back 8 weeks after we published the report, that just tells you there's something fundamentally wrong with the entire system. So we will be, as a committee in private session, receiving legal advice, which the clerk is going to touch on. The scope laid out by the CNAG is very clear. It's restricted in terms of not crossing into some of the legal elements of it, but it is about looking at the process and how we've ended up here. And there is a theme. It's still within our gift, because the MOR has not come back, it is still within our gift to look into this, and I would be strongly urging members to do it. I'll let David in briefly and then we'll go with it.
Very quickly, I was agree with everything that everybody said. I was going to say about the legal advice, so you're bringing that forward. That will be really useful. I think the other bit of this that highlights this, and I agree, there's an issue here, not just with the A5, but in the procurement of a capital project right across. If you look at the Yorkshire Interchange, you look at the delays in the Grand Central Station, there's a history of this. We did procurement as a committee, and we've done capital projects. After this, because I think the 5 areas you've got there, we can do that by listening to the legal advice we get, and the scope of work here is good. But is it worth us, after this or whatever process, that procurement's not working, this 9 copes isn't working, that DFI this is a repeated history of procurement falling and not happening and costing the public purse, in this case billions, as we go forward. There's got to be something else that we can do to hold it. I don't know if you reopen or how we do, but as a committee to focus on even just that capital project thing, to actually get the bottom. And is that worth looking at going forward?
That is why the terms of reference are so clear, those 5 areas, and the CNAG has very kindly provided clear guidance in that. Cahill and then Colin?
No, just
Colin and Cahill, I don't know which
Colin,
one.
yeah, Colin went
Colin,
first,
yeah.
yes.
So just to be clear, I have no issue with the 5 areas identified either. But as we talk, I'm just looking at item 5, and I just would like to ask the CNAG if the department's planned approach to progress the scheme is likely to be a central part of the appeal, and is that potentially sub judice in some sense? In that, I'm just wondering about that one. I'd like to ask.
So I suppose just a couple of things to pick up on there. So very much one thing I would say to you is, so we pulled this together and we forwarded this to you prior to Minister issuing an appeal. So this was written at a point in time, this terms of reference, so it's important to understand that. So when we wrote this, we didn't know what the way forward was. Without the unknown here is these are an update on cost and time, which in the main is what I'm asking for here, are certainly within my powers as CNAG to ask for. I don't yet know what I will get back, because I haven't seen that back, and I do, in looking down it, wonder how much the department will be able to tell me around number 5 in particular, and they will have their own considerations now that there is a legal challenge ongoing around that, and that's something that I'll assess when I see what is returned to me, but I'm guessing it until I see it. But I think there could be difficulty there potentially.
Al?
Thanks, Chair, and that is the case, and that's why we're asking about it. I'm not, Shanna, the point for us is for a committee. So if a report's done and there's information either way, that report's ours, right? Yeah, so when it can be released or not, you know what I mean, in terms of whether it can be used as evidence.
I think that's one of the things
And that's the key element.
Yeah, and that's certainly one of the things that the committee will need to consider when I bring this information back to you, is what you then do with that information, because you have already published your report into Major Capital. That's the bit, I guess, I'm not yet clear with as to what you want to do with that. I'm bringing you back an update, and I think that's within certainly my powers to do that.
Yeah.
You then, as a committee, will need to consider what you do with that information once you receive it.
100%, and I just want clarification, because I know that was that. The other point going on forward is, and you've said yourself, we don't know what information we'll get back. So then it'll be up to the chair and ourselves as a group to make a decision on that. There may be nothing in it, so we're getting back around. And as I say, I don't want to stray, and I know the chair has mentioned capital projects and MORs. This is a specific piece of work that we as the committee are going to look at. I would just need to focus back on it. I'm not arguing all the other points. So that's my point. So what do we say then if a report comes back and we don't have that detail? It's just the timing of all this here. So I have no objections to doing it, to be honest. But we're just having a conversation on which way to go forward.
And members' concerns in relation to it are well made. I think we all are in a similar space and sharing concern, and this committee would far from want to put the project at any risk. But we do have to face the writing on the wall. If this isn't got right this time, there's a very serious problem beyond the appeal, and human lives are at stake. And if it comes down to, and I'll use this word loosely and not on behalf of the committee, if it comes down to the mismanagement of officials over the scheme, then we have missed a very important opportunity to ensure we do our bit in terms of good governance and scrutiny, and that's the role I want to play. We will be guided by legal advice. The CNEG very kindly outlined that this was written in the aftermath of our last committee, and things have since moved, but our public will be expecting some level of understanding as to how this happened. And I think that is the role of this committee. Whilst this is narrow in approach, it is still directly relevant to the major capital projects inquiry, which is not concluded. We still have primacy over it, and that is the approach that we take. And if we can't exercise our powers when we've raised such concern in relation to the wastage of public money in terms of these major capital projects, then the whole inquiry would have been a waste of time. And I'm very clearly signalling to all of you with a clear reassurance, we'll be guided by the advice we receive, but I think it's important that we do proceed with some action in relation to the proposed terms of reference that have been kindly provided by the CNAG. That would be my proposal, but with caution, not to step on the toes of the legal process that will run in tandem to it. Diane?
Thank you, Chair. And I think that it's important, whilst everyone, we all have strong concern over the A5 project just as a whole, to bring this back to what it is we're actually asking for within the legal advice. The Major Capital Projects report is about a year now since the NIAO had the details of their report. Ours was in April of this year. This is so narrow, and it is actually reiterating the point of our Major Capital Projects report to say that the longer this sits not being dealt with. The costs are escalating. So 1 year later from your report, let's show on the A5 project what has escalated, what has happened, and it's live. And I think that it goes hand in hand with the fact that we haven't got the MOR, haven't got it from the department. Everything's sort of going, you know, shifting along. But the point we're trying to make here as Public Accounts Committee, we're sitting here scrutinising, you know, spend, how capital projects are being made. And the longer this keeps going on, we keep having follow-up reports, this 3 billion overspend is just escalating. And really, if you really wanted to, and I'm not proposing this, but I'm just saying, you could take any case study out of that capital projects report and run these same terms of reference just to make the point that in a year, here's how much more it has escalated, just to kind of show that. Because I think you did do that. You had your report in 2024, and then whenever the press release went out from this committee in April of this year, it had gone up from like 2.45 to 3 billion. You reran those numbers, and I think as long as we're not getting MORs, this isn't being really addressed in terms of major capital project management here by the civil service, that I think just getting these updated numbers just continues to make that point, and just taking it away from the legal case or the A5, I just think that it really does demonstrate in cold hard numbers the longer we're not dealing with this on all projects, but in particular the A5, because it is of key concern at the minute, just to put those numbers out there. So I think that what you have set out there is, you know, simple enough in terms of that. It is the numbers, and maybe, as you say, the final point, you had put that in before the appeal was launched. Maybe if it could be slightly amended to say the department's planned approach to what they're going to do with, you know, this year's 25-26 planned budget or something like that, you know, rather than the planned, because I do agree now that Cahill or Colin, whoever it was that said it, was the approach to progress the scheme. Given that there's a case, I think maybe that point, you know, falls a little bit, but it could say something a little bit different. But as long as we're just keeping it about the numbers, I think that it's important that we could just say on this project, look how much this has gone up whenever it's been sitting for a year. I think it's confined enough. I'd be pretty comfortable with that. Yeah,
and we will be very careful to ensure that we do confine it. Padraig, I'll come to you in a wee second. Dorinnia, the estimated scheme cost now, 2.1 billion, is that accurate?
The submission that was shared with you from the Infrastructure Committee quotes that figure, but that's a figure as at September of last year, so I don't have an up-to-date figure for the entire scheme, but hopefully I'll get that.
Because the public figure that was going around prior to the JR going into court effectively was 1.7 billion. So this 2.1 is a significant increase. And really what we should be trying to understand as a committee is, where are these figures being plucked from? You know, how do they reach that figure? Are they realistic in that figure? You know, because to date I wouldn't have much confidence that these figures are accurate, and there's a role for us in that in terms of the public expenditure stuff as well. So thanks to Anna. Padraig, you're looking on there?
Thanks, Chair. Look, the points have been made so far, so I'm reluctant to kind of labour them. The point I kind of want to hone in on, I suppose, as the bit about it being rushed, and I would worry about that. And I'm just conscious that as we move forward, you know, rushing this could undermine, firstly, the detail that we get, but secondly, I'm very conscious of the kind of legal element to that as well. So, look, as I say, I don't want to reiterate the points that have already been made, but I am conscious of that, particularly, I know Dorinnia mentioned the time frame and so on, and I think that, you know, it's most prudent that we do it properly and that we can actually have all the detail here and make sure that we don't jeopardize anything going forward. So I'm obviously looking forward to hearing the legal advice and seeing where that directs us. But I think that the piece about it being rushed is one which does worry me, and I just think that we should note that before making any decision.
Yeah, thank you, Padraig. I'll go back to what I said earlier. The terms of reference are quite clear. If we focus within the scope of what has been recommended, we will not or should not go far wrong. It has been given careful consideration. It will receive probably a slight review in terms of the final point, as the CNAG has pointed out, because of the time of which this was written. But I do believe that it is important that this committee takes this, and I've no doubt we are taking this extremely seriously. I think at the first, before I refer back to the terms of reference formally, I think it's important, members, if I could suggest we write to the Infrastructure Committee immediately today to inform them that this committee retains primacy over this particular inquiry, that report, because it is not completed, and that we're doing so with a view of exploring aspects of it as discussed.
Claire, I'm a member of the committee, so you give me the inside word, Chair. That's okay. Just note that I'm a member of the DFI. Yeah.
Members content with that suggestion? The clerk, Lucia, you write a letter to the chair. Okay, thank you. Okay, members, back to the matter at hand. So we have terms of reference there. Members have very clearly explained their concerns and about ensuring that whatever process we take, that we do so carefully and in consideration of the ongoing legal process. I do think in the interests of good governance and accountability that we have a duty to act, and my suggestion to the committee today, which I hope will be supported, would be that we progress as per the terms of reference provided by the CNAG, with the exception of amending the final point within the current context.
Just
members,
want to say clarity, Chair. We're receiving legal advice.
We are.
Can
We'll talk
we
about it
address
closed.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm just asking, should we? You want to make the
Well,
decision?
the legal advice will guide us beyond it, but we can still proceed in accepting the terms of reference as outlined at the minute.
Can I just clarify
Yeah.
something? Just to clarify, the legal advice that you're receiving today is on the powers and remit.
No, I was only asking whether or not.
So the additional research that hasn't been requested yet, but open to further discussions around some clarity on that.
Again, just we can make the point then, Chair. But
So we'll address the legal part in a second as to what action we take. But in terms of the terms of reference as they sit today, are members content that we progress as discussed? Content?
Great.
Dorinnia, are you anything further to add? Or are you content with that?
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, thank you for that important discussion. We'll move now into closed session.